YouTube, what's going on? We're back with another video. Today I'm going to show you how to install REMnux in Hyper-V. This is mostly for those who want to set up their malware analysis lab, but maybe you don't want to use VirtualBox or you don't want to pay for VMware. This is a great alternative, especially if you have Windows 10 Pro. Hyper-V comes free, but make sure that you have virtualization enabled in your BIOS before you get started. That is something you might want to look up and make sure that's done prior to this video. And then once you have that, you'll be able to get REMnux installed and start to do malware analysis in a Linux environment and hopefully kind of grow your skills and learn some more tools. So let's go ahead and get started here. I want to show you how to get this thing installed because the documentation is great. However, there are some little tidbits that we kind of need to figure out as we go. And I have done that work for you, ideally, so that it makes your process a little smoother, and especially if you're someone who likes to watch videos, hopefully this helps. Again, REMnux is a free Linux distribution that has a ton of malware tools, malware analysis tools. Real Try Hack Me has a great room to get yourself started and play around, but it would be beneficial if you kind of set this environment up for yourself. Kind of take advantage of maybe some more resources if you have that in a nice computer and such. So again, this is created by Lenny Seltzer, who is a SANS teacher and a malware SME. So it's definitely an awesome resource. So what you'll need to do is go to remnux.org and then head over to the download. And once here, the documentation is pretty straightforward for some things, and other things have some quirks like I mentioned before. First step, actually, no matter what platform you're on, is going to be downloading the virtual appliance file. So you can just go to the box link here and click on that. And then if you need to right now, if you're following along, go ahead and pause the video and come back when your download finishes. I've already downloaded this, so we don't need to wait. The next step is actually, if you need to, go ahead and confirm the hash of the file, but I've already done that as well, so we're going to skip past that. Now, for step 3, we, being Hyper-V users, are not going to be doing any of this, or step 4. We're actually going to skip down and come to the Hyper-V portion. So you'll see that the steps are similar. Download, which we've already done. The next thing you'll want to do, and let me pull that up. So if I come to my downloads folder, I actually have the OVA file right here. And the next step says to extract the downloaded OVA file. So I have 7-zip installed on my local machine, and what you'll do is just come here, right click on it, go to 7-zip, and you can just say extract to REMnux folder. That's what I prefer. And I've already done that step, but it'll basically create a folder, and you should have a few files in here. Now, the file that we actually care about right now is the VMDK file, GZ. But in order to get that file, we're going to have to take another step. So you should have the MF and the OVF file. You won't have the VHDX right away, and you won't have the VMDK right away. What you'll want to do is just right click on this one, 7-zip, and extract here, and that should pull out the VMDK file. Now, why do we need this is because that's the file that we're actually going to convert. So if you had VMware, you would actually just be using that VMDK, the OVA file, and wouldn't need to do any of this extra stuff. So if we come back to the REMnux documentation, the 4th step has us using one or the other tools. So I am going to walk us through both actually, but I will put the caveat here that the kimu or kemu, however you pronounce that tool didn't work for me on a test run that I performed. I got every step, I converted everything. However, when I needed to import the actual file into Hyper-V, it doesn't seem to correctly convert for me, but I will show you how to do that. So maybe it works on your machine. It could just be me. If you do figure out the solution, or if I made a mistake, please let me know in the comments. But right now, I'll go ahead and show you. So kind of clicking on this right here takes us straight to the kimu documentation. So you don't really get to download the tool from here. So what I went to was, I actually just Googled kimu, and I believe it takes us to kimu.org. And so from here, you can go to the download, and for me, I'm on Windows, so I picked the 64-bit version, and the most recent version's right here, and you'll just download that executable, and then it has an installer that walks you through, and it should be installed once you're done in your C drive under Program Files. So if I scroll down, you'll have it right here. So Once you have kimu installed, if this is the route you're going, go ahead and navigate to your C drive / program files, or wherever you decide to install it. And then let's go ahead and run CMD from here. So just click up in here, type CMD, pull that up. Actually, sorry, one more. I need to go to the next folder. Go from CMD here. So you'll see that I'm in program files in kimu. And from here, if I go back to the documentation, it did give us this command to do, but that's not really straightforward. You could look in the documentation on exactly what to write, but I'm making the video to show a little easier method for you. So what you'll do here is you'll do kimu image.exe, and then you're going to write convert, just like the documentation says. Provide the path to the file that we're converting, and this is where that vmdk that we unzipped earlier will come into play. So for me, it's under users, Cyrus, downloads, REMnux, and then this is the vmdk file. Then you'll want to give it a capital O, and here I know that the documentation says VHD, but you actually need to provide either, you need to provide VHDX as the output file type, and then go ahead and give it a full path of where you'd like to save that at. So for purposes, I will still do this. And I'm just going to put it here, and you actually do need to provide a name to that file. So let's just call it remnux youtube.vhdx. And then press enter. And once you see the pause, that's how you know it's working and it's converting. And as I mentioned before, mine didn't really work all that well when I tried to import the actual created file once it's converted. So because of that, I want to show you the other tool. So the other tool is more of a GUI Base tool. So if I come to Starwind Converter, what you'll need to do is just go ahead and scroll to the bottom. I believe you do have to give your information. If you click download, you can provide whatever information you need and go ahead and click submit. I've already done this prior to, so I have the executable. So let me show you what that looks like. So you'll see I have the exe right here. So you can go ahead and click on that. That's what downloads. Sorry, I'm just loading it up here. There's a GUI Base install as well, which I have installed. So once you already have that installed, I'm going to go ahead and exit the install steps. And I'm going to actually pull up the application here. So once you have it installed, you should have this GUI Base setup here. And what it does is you'll want the location of the image that you're converting. So for us, we are going to convert the vmdk file that we decompress. So go ahead and click local file. Actually, let me go back. Yeah, local file. Go ahead and find so for me, as I mentioned earlier, we were in my downloads, vmdk, and then go ahead and select the vmdk. That looks right. So go ahead and click next. You'll just want to keep that local file here for our purposes. And then because we're using Hyper-V, we want the VHDX. So go ahead and select that and then click next. And this is all preference. I picked a VHD growable image. Actually, excuse me, I picked a VHDX growable image just because I may want to mess around with the image itself. So I just did that. Go ahead and click next here. And you'll notice I have it's kind of already filled with the exact same file name with the one, meaning I already have that there. But once it'll auto default a name. You can definitely rename the VHDX file if you'd like, and then just click convert. And so I'm going to abandon this, but what you should have is, if I show you in my folder, you'll have the REMnux V7 Focal Disk 1 VHDX. The thing I want to highlight here is we can actually see our kimu converted as well as our, whatever the tool is called, the Starwind converted. And the difference in size, I think, is where I'm getting an error. So this has 18 million kilobytes, 16 million kilobytes. So there is something that's going on. Regardless, if the kimu conversion works for you, great. If not, try the Starwind conversion and then let's move forward. So now that we have those files, we need to actually import them into Hyper-V. So load up Hyper-V and then come over, and you can either do action new virtual machine here, or just on this right hand window, new virtual machine. go ahead and click next. Call it what you'd like. I'm going to call it REMnux. Right here, make sure, just for ease of sake, actually pick generation 1. I ran into some troubleshooting issues where it had some networking problems. So go ahead and just pick generation 1 to be safe. Give it however much RAM you want. I'm going to do about 4 gigs of RAM. I'm going to do the default switch here. And then here, you're actually going to go and click on Use an Existing Virtual Disk. So go ahead and click that. Click Browse, and go ahead and navigate to wherever you saved and your converted VHDX file. So for me, again, I'm using the one that we made through StarWinds because that was a complete image, and I've tested this and it worked. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Next, finish. Give it a second. Then go ahead and right-click on your new machine. Click Connect. Bring that over to showcase everything. Go ahead and click Start. And we should be loaded up here in a second. So while this is loading up, hopefully this has been helpful so far. This is the first boot up for me, but it looks like it's working. You'll notice Ubuntu 20.04, so we're in the right space. And there is one more step once you kind of get into your machine here, and I'll show you that in a second. You'll notice it logs in right here, but if we go back to the initial documentation, I do believe that the last step here, which we don't want to skip, is once you've got it installed, go ahead and run REMnux upgrade, and that should bring in all the new versions of tools or anything else that was added to the distro, and you'll be good to go. So I probably need to set up networking here or something, but regardless, I will do that after. Hopefully the video was helpful, and now you can start your analysis with playing around with samples or downloading malware to a safer environment, just anything to kind of get your learning going. If you find this type of material helpful, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to create more. I think the next video we're going to go over the actual try hack me malware, I guess, learning path, if you will. So I'd love to kind of walk through that and maybe do a live stream of that and have folks follow along if they're interested. But again, hopefully this gets you set up to using REMnux in your environment, and then you can connect your Flare VM and your REMnux VM and maybe create a completely vulnerable Windows 10, Windows 7, maybe even soon to come Windows 11 VM, and start to utilize that to get malware downloaded to the box, analyzing it, using your different tools, and then having whichever flavor you'd like. Again, I appreciate it if you guys would like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You know, that definitely helps. I do appreciate the comments, so if you have some input, please provide it. And hope to see you soon studying, learning. I'm definitely going to keep creating more content as I learn, because I am nowhere near a pro in this, but I do enjoy making this type of videos. So let's go ahead and learn together. Tell me what topics you'd like to see next, and we'll go from there. Thanks again. Have a great day.